People versus Brandon Martin, RAF 1506112. Mr. Martin is present with both counsel. The people are present. All members of the jury and alternates are present. Next witness.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. People call Desiree Seagraves. Can they step out?
Yes.
Standing, raise your right hand. Please approve. Yes. Ma'am, you can take your mask off, adjust the microphone so it's right in front of you. And if you need to, maybe you need to point out something, just the words are coming right here.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Please state and spell your first and your last name for the record.
My name is Desiree, Desiree. Last name is Seagraves, Seagraves.
Ms. Seagraves, just a couple of rules about your testimony. We do need you to use that microphone. You can adjust it if you like, pull it towards you, move your chair in, however's comfortable, but you do need to speak directly in it, okay?
Okay.
Next rule is when the lawyers ask questions of you, we need a verbal or audible answer from you. So yes, no, whatever you want to tell us. But if you just nod your head up and down or shake your head side to side, court reporter can't record that, okay?
Okay.
And then the last rule is please wait until the lawyers are done asking their question before you respond. In other words, if they start asking you the question, you're pretty confident you know where they're going, you jump in and you both talk at the same time. Court reporter can't record that either. So please wait until they're done before you answer, okay?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Pierce.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Seagraves.
Good morning.
What's your occupation?
I'm an occupational therapist.
Okay. Is that like a nurse?
It's like a physical therapist, except I work with self-care and upper body, the arms, hands, self-care.
And how long have you been doing that?
Since 1975.
And let me ask you, what organization do you work for?
I was working with the Visiting Nurses Association in Lynn County, and then they changed to California.
Okay.
But they closed their doors August 5th.
Okay. Let me show you a photograph, people 70 for identification. Do you see that photograph in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. And you see that says Visiting Nurse Association?
That's correct,
And that was an organization that you had previously been working for?
Yes, they changed their name to VNA California.
Okay. Now, were you working for them in September the 17th, 2015?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, were you employed to go to visit and treat patients in their home?
Yes.
Okay. On the 17th of September 2015, did you visit a patient by the name of Michael Martin?
Yes.
Okay. And was that at his home on Winthrop in Corona?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you remember what time you arrived that day to visit Michael Martin?
No, not any. It was in the afternoon, but I don't remember the exact time.
Okay. Did you record your visit when you went to visit Michael Martin?
How do you mean recall?
Record.
Oh, record?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So when you treat a patient, you would make a record of...
Yeah, the document, but yes.
Okay. Do you have those documents with you today? If you could look, there's a folder on the podium right there that should say Desiree Seagraves.
Okay. Nice handwriting. Sorry.
Does that say Desiree Seagraves?
Yes.
Okay. You see the records of your occupational therapy evaluation.
That's correct.
And does it record what time you went to visit Michael Martin on September 17th, 2015?
It says 2:40 went in and 3:40 left.
Okay. So from the records that you created of that visit, you arrived at 2:40 p.m. on the 17th of September 2015 and left at 3:40 p.m.?
That's correct.
Okay. And when you created that record, you also created a record of your treatment of Mr. Michael Martin that day. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Before September the 17th, had you seen Mr. Michael Martin before?
Yes, I've seen him several times.
Can you describe to me on the 17th of, let me just go back one step. Let me show you a photograph, 98, physical identification. You see that photograph there?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Does that look familiar to you?
Yes.
And is that the area where you would treat Mr. Michael Martin?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on the 17th of September 2015, can you describe to me overall Mr. Michael Martin's general physical condition?
Mr. Martin was extremely debilitated. He usually sat in that brown chair. Can everybody see the brown chair?
Everybody can see the
Okay.
brown chair.
He usually sat in the brown chair. He had a hard time leaning forward because his back muscles were really weak. He was not able to reach forward at all. Normally, he would take the one hand to lift the other hand.
Okay, indicating that he would use his right hand to lift
his left hand to grab anything like liquid or anything left to the side of him.
And he was wheelchair bound?
He was wheelchair bound, chair fast, meaning basically he would go from the wheelchair, somebody would transfer him into a chair, and then that's where he would stay until somebody could transfer him back into the wheelchair.
Okay. So he himself wouldn't be able to
Do the transfer, no.
Okay. Now, when you said in terms of in order to move his arm, he would have to use the left or the right arm to help move the opposite arm.
That's correct.
Would he be able to raise his hand above his shoulder?
Not without the assistance of the other arm.
Okay. So if you wanted, say, to raise one hand above his shoulder, he would have to use the other one.
That's correct.
And would he even be able to do that?
He could get it about shoulder height. That's about it.
That's about it.
Either arm.
Now, in terms of, so he had decreased movement of his limbs.
That's correct.
Was he in pain from the muscular deterioration?
You know, I don't remember. I do think he was, but I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay. Would it help to look at your records there in
Sure.
terms of whether that would help refresh your memory?
I'm looking for the pain scale.
Well, if you look on page 1 of 7 of your visit on 9/17, there's a section there where it's asked to describe the patient pain.
Okay. 107?
No, page 1 of 7.
1 of 7.
1 of 7.
Oh, 1 of 7. I'm sorry.
So it must be the way I speak.
No, it's just hard of hearing. Okay. Okay. Okay, yes, he had chronic pain. Usually the intensity was running around 4 to 7. On that day, it was around a 6. Normally, most people start taking medication when their pain level is around 5.
So on that day, his pain level was at a 6?
Yes, that's correct.
And that day, of course, being September 17th, 2015. Let me show you a photograph again, 64 for identification. We're going back to the area where you'd indicated that Mr. Michael Martin sat in that chair. To the right of that chair, do you see some items on the side table?
That's correct.
Okay. And let me show you a photograph that is 184, and this is just 186, and this is a close-up of that side table. You see that there?
Yes.
And again, I think we've already noted that your Visiting Nurse Association handbook is there on the table.
That's correct.
Okay. What about the weights and the band on that table? What were they for?
The weights are hand weights, and they're usually for trying to build the bicep muscles up. You grab them and you just try and do the biceps. The band can be used for the legs, for holding on and trying to move the legs, but he didn't really have very much leg movement. You can also use the band for holding this way, but again, because his rotator cuffs were so torn up, he wasn't able to bring his arms out with the band. He could do it without a band, but he could not do it holding onto a band.
Okay. So that band there, I mean, he wasn't able at that point to be able to utilize it?
No, it wasn't really useful. The weights were, but not the band.
And are those 2-pound weights?
It looks like a 1-pound weight.
And would a 1-pound weight be consistent with what Mr. Michael Martin could use? Nothing more than that?
No.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Ross?
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Seagraves.
Good morning.
Recall when you first saw Mr. Martin?
That day or just in general?
Just in general.
I think I had been seeing him for about a month, if not longer. But no, I do not remember exactly when I started working with him. It looks like it was sometime in March of that year.
March of 2015?
Yes.
Okay. How often per week would you see Mr. Martin?
Anywhere between 2 to 3 times a week. Mostly because I was the only occupational therapist, I usually saw him only twice a week. So I had too many people to see.
You're looking through some of the paperwork up there. Let me see if...
Yeah, I was just looking at the start date. I just don't see the start date, so I'm not quite sure.
In that packet that was handed to you, is there a number in the bottom right corner? 002718?
Yes.
Take a look at that page and see if that helps.
Okay, it was May. No, that indicates. No, I still don't see a date when I actually started working with him. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. When you spoke to a representative from the district attorney's office back in 2017, you told them you thought you'd worked for Mr. Martin for about a month
Okay.
before the incident.
Okay. I believe you. I just don't remember.
Does that sound correct, though?
Yeah, because I normally, for occupational therapy, I normally don't work with anybody more than 2 months at the max. It's anywhere between 4 weeks to 6 weeks at the max.
And then I think you told us that you would see Mr. Martin about 2 times a week?
That's correct,
Were there specific days that you would go see him?
No.
So after maybe you saw him earlier in the week and then you would plan on a second day?
That's correct.
And those visits lasted about an hour?
Yes, that's correct.
And in the 8 times that you were at the home, did you see other family members?
I think I met his wife once. I think I met his, there was his son came in once and got some water and left, but I didn't actually meet him. He didn't introduce me to him. He just told me that was my son as he left.
You didn't catch the name of that son?
No, I did not.
You didn't have any interaction with that son?
No, I did not.
And you said you met Mr. Martin's wife one time?
I think so.
Sounds like your attention was on him for that hour. Is that
That's correct.
When you would come to the house, would you go through the front door?
I came through the front door, yes.
Okay, so did you have a key or would you knock?
No, I just knocked and came in.
And then someone would let you in?
That's correct. No, actually, I just knocked and came in.
Oh, knocked and came in.
Yes.
Were there times when you visited Mr. Martin where there were other family members were not home?
Most of the time when I visited Mr. Martin, there was nobody there except for Mr. Martin.
So you would knock, announce who you were, and then go inside?
Just come in. That's correct.
And would he be sitting in a particular chair?
The brown chair.
Is that the chair that we were looking at earlier?
Yes,
Referring to people 64. See that in front of you, ma'am?
Yes.
Is it this brown chair here, the one I'm pointing to?
That looks like it, yes.
And then the table would be?
To the table, he would have that table with the lamp to the right of him, and sometimes he had a little bit of a table to the left of him that he kept water and things on.
But he was always sitting in that particular chair?
When I came in, that's correct.
And the wheelchair that you showed us earlier, was that in and around that chair?
I don't remember seeing that wheelchair in and around. It's usually just the brown chair.
And referring to People's 98, and again, that looks like a blue-colored wheelchair with a pink towel over it. Is that a chair you had seen?
I don't recall seeing that chair.
Had you ever assisted him in getting into a wheelchair of any sort?
I don't recall, because I normally don't do lifting. The physical therapist would do it, or the family member would do it. I'm too
so
old.
the therapy that you would administer to Mr. Martin was while he was seated in that brown chair?
That's correct,
You never had him stand up at any point?
Me, I don't recall. I might have tried to have him stand up when I first met him, but because he was so debilitated, it was not a functional goal for him, so I never tried after that. The physical therapist was focused more on the standing and the transfers, but I usually just focus more on the upper body, trying to get him so he can use the arms to help the physical therapist.
Did you always come by yourself or with a partner?
I always came by myself.
Thank you very much.
Any redirect? Witness excused? Excused? You're excused. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next witness?
Thank you. People call Michael Harvey.
some state information, you should give what is the full treatment of
I do.
Go ahead, move your hands. Adjust the microphone for a minute. And this right here is a laser pointer in case you need.
Okay, thank you.
David, spell your first and your last name for the record.
My name is Michael Harvey, Harvey.
Mr. Harvey, just a couple of rules about your testimony. We do need you to use that microphone. You can adjust it if you like. Secondly, when the lawyers are asking questions, we need a verbal or audible answer. So yes, no, or whatever you want to tell us, but if you just nod your head up and down, shake your head side to side, we'll need to get clarification, okay?
Yes, sir.
Also, when the lawyers are asking questions, please wait until they're done speaking before you respond. If you jump in to answer, talk at the same time, court reporter can't record that. So please wait until they're done, okay?
Okay.
All right, Mr. Beecham.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Harvey.
Good morning.
Mr. Harvey, are you related to Barry Swanson, or were you related to Barry Swanson?
Yes, I am.
In what relation?
I'm his son-in-law.
Go to People's 188. See this photograph?
Yes.
This DMV photograph? Do you recognize the person?
Yes, that's Barry Swanson, my father-in-law.
Sorry, Mr. Beecham, what was the exhibit number?
188.
188, thank you.
And so you are married to his daughter, is that correct?
Yes.
How long had you known Mr. Swanson up until September 17, 2015?
I've been a part of their family since 2009.
Fair to say that you knew him pretty well?
Yes.
Did you know what he did for a living?
Yes.
What did he do?
He was a technician for Defender Security.
What do you do for a living?
I now am a small business owner.
Before that, did you work at all in the same field as Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
And what did you do?
I was also a technician for the same company.
Did you work with Mr. Swanson?
Yes.
And what did Mr. Swanson do did you say it was for Defenders?
Yes, Defender is a subcontractor, basically, of ADT Security.
Okay. And you said that he was a technician?
Yes.
Were you a technician as well?
Yes.
So you and he had pretty much identical job duties?
That's correct.
Okay. And so what was Mr. Swanson's job duties as a technician?
Our job was to go to the customer's home, identify where we were going to install the alarm, get the alarm online, do paperwork, sell equipment, things like that.
Did Mr. Swanson yourself also sell electronic door locks?
Yes,
Would you assist in installing those?
that's correct.
Showing you People's 175. I'm assuming you've never been inside this residence before.
I have not.
Okay. But I want to show you something that you may recognize. You see this panel in the top middle of this exhibit?
Yes.
Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, that's the Impasa panel that Defender was known for using and still uses.
And what is that?
It's basically the security control panel that controls the entire alarm.
I'm going to show you another photograph, People's 174. And what's the purpose of this? Again, is that the same device panel?
Yes.
What's the purpose of that panel?
It's whenever the alarm goes off, looks to be like there's blue tape on it, but when we would install them, we would put blue tape over the alarm siren itself so that we wouldn't hear it ourselves. But that controls the alarm. That's where you disarm the panel. That's also where ADT can listen in as well.
So the fact that there's blue tape on that panel, is that consistent with it being a brand new panel that was just installed?
Yes.
And will you tell the jury what the process is? Somebody is requested to install this panel, and I assume that has to get set up before it becomes activated?
That's correct.
And can you just briefly explain the process?
The process was when you get on site, you talk to the customer, identify where they want the alarm in a spot that's consistent where we could easily get power to the panel. Once that occurs, then we call into ADT to activate the cell phone communicator. Then at that point, we would learn in the sensors for the doors and windows, trip them off so that way we send signals to the monitoring station. Once that occurs, then we would call back to the monitoring station to confirm everything. Once everything was confirmed, then the sensors are placed where they are supposed to go, and then we can close out the job.
So if I understand you right, ADT has to be called in order for that system to be activated. Is that right?
That's correct.
So you call and you say, my name's Michael Harvey with Defenders. I'm at whatever location. Can you please activate this system or do a test or whatever?
Correct. Every time you call in, you have to give the account number, the customer's name, the customer's address, and then they ask who you are before you get into the details of what you're doing.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as People's 181A. Do you recognize what this document is?
That's a work order for Defender Security.
Okay, and so you can tell just by the way the document looks and how it presents, that's the work order?
Correct.
Now I'm going to zoom in. And if you need to look behind you, there's a bigger screen and you can show the jury. As well, there's a laser pointer up there. But on this document, does it have a date in which somebody had requested service?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Sustained.
Okay. How do you know that this is the document, this is a work order?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Overruled, how do you know?
You can tell it's a work order. Right here it has the customer's name listed. Right here is the account number for it. Status would show sale.
Is this the same type of work order that you would use day in and day out working for Defenders?
Yes.
How long had you worked for Defenders?
I worked for Defender from 2013 up until a week before this incident occurred.
And approximately how many work orders do you think you've reviewed during that time span?
At least 300 to 500 is a lot.
And this particular work order is consistent with all the other work orders, the 300 to 500 work orders that you reviewed?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, with regard to this work order, does this give a date of requested service?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Well, does it give a date? You can answer that yes or no.
From the view that I have, I do not see a date.
All right. And if you can tell me if you need me to move this up or lower, left, right. Actually. Going to page 3 on People's 181A. You recognize what this page is?
No, it looks like just notes that have been entered, but usually the technicians don't have access to this.
Does this document have the person that requested the service?
Well, again, you can just answer that yes or no.
Yes,
Okay. And where is that located?
that would be on the customer information right here.
And in this particular document, it's Melody Martin.
Objection, lack of foundation.
Sustained.
Your Honor, this was a SBT document.
Well, you want to be heard further then?
Yes.
How much time do we have with the witness?
10 minutes.
Do you have much of cross? Will he be back this afternoon? Then we can
I think
handle
it
it.
will be, yes.
Okay. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and break for lunch at this time. Remind all of you not to discuss the facts of this case amongst yourselves or with anyone unrelated to the trial. Not form or express any opinion until you've heard all the evidence.